so the Lakers last night just went up 2-1 on the Grizzlies in a pretty interesting game to say the least. I'm not gonna lie, I might have been wrong about the Lakers, but that's for another video. What I am here to talk about is that clown on the Memphis Grizzlies and Dillon Brooks. I thought I would only have to make one video about this guy and never speak about him again, but yeah, I was wrong. So for those of you that don't know what happened, over the past couple days, Dillon Brooks and LeBron James have been getting into it. Well, honestly, it's been kind of a one-sided beef because LeBron has done his best to not respond, and Dillon Brooks, on the other hand, has just been talking a lot of shit. But how did we get here? So the only reason why this beef even got started was because Dillon Brooks said this about LeBron.
LeBron have that exchange. There are people out there that say maybe you shouldn't do that with one of the better players in the game. Well, I guess what were you thinking?
I don't care. He's old.
Look, I know LeBron is getting up there in age. He's not the same player he was like 10 years ago, but you have to understand something. LeBron James is one of those players that you do not talk shit about, regardless of how old he is. Now, LeBron James actually did respond kind of when the media asked him about it, and he said this.
I don't want to talk much more. Tomorrow's gonna be a great game. I'm not here for the bullshit. I'm ready to play, and that's it.
So you can tell that LeBron really isn't that engaged, at least as far as talking to the media about it. And truth be told, I think LeBron is just one of those guys that doesn't do a whole lot of talking. He just shows it with his game. So that takes us to game 3 of the first round, Grizzlies versus Lakers. And what happened? Well, it was an embarrassment for the Grizzlies. Memphis got cooked in the first quarter. It was bad. They did not even score 10 points, which I thought was insane. Yeah, I think what was the worst moment of the game wasn't even the fact that they couldn't put up 10 points in the first quarter. It was probably this.
Very recent memory, we've seen Draymond Green adjudicated for his history, and Dillon Brooks led the league with...
I think at that moment, I knew, despite if the Grizzlies were going to go on a run or something, that game was virtually over. When you're at the point where you're just like, okay, I'm going to punch someone in the nuts, you know you've lost mentally. Maybe not physically, but mentally, you're lost. The fact that Dillon Brooks did this mid-game isn't really shocking to me at this point because we've seen him do this before, which I'm going to get into later. But let's answer the question, what actually happened after the game? Well, not a whole lot. LeBron didn't do much talking, and Dillon Brooks, surprisingly, didn't do any talking. This man, after talking all that shit, decided to not even go to the media. Which, look, I could totally justify if Dillon Brooks wasn't the one who started everything and was trying to rile up LeBron. But at this point, you look like a bitch. And matter of fact, you are a bitch. As much as people don't like Draymond Green, I'm not gonna lie, at least Draymond would talk to the media and he would confront what happened. Shit, if he takes an L, he takes an L, but he's gonna stick by that. When it came time for Dillon Brooks to face the ultimate reality that he was not gonna punk LeBron, he did not show up. And I'm not just talking after the game, to the media. I mean, he didn't show up in the game. And I know Dillon Brooks isn't the craziest of players. I didn't expect him to have like a 30 ball just because he trash talked LeBron, but you didn't have to put up an Andrew Bynum stat line. Now, I am glad I waited to make this video because some stuff came out today that I thought was pretty interesting. So first of all, the league came out today and they said that they are not going to be suspending Dillon Brooks, which to be honest, I'm actually kind of surprised. I'm always going to go back to that Draymond Green and Steven Adams incident because I thought they were going to really look at that. Because at the time, Draymond Green was also someone that was considered a pretty dirty player. And I mean, come on, it's not rocket science. What he did was bad and everyone knew it, which is why it was a justified reason that the league was to suspend Draymond Green. And I mean, the NBA didn't just suspend him because of his past. It was because what he did was obviously warrant of getting a flagrant foul and obviously an ejection. So that is why I was actually surprised when the NBA decided not to suspend Dillon Brooks. And what I think is funny is I know Draymond Green and Dillon Brooks have beef, or they've had beef in the past, but their situations are so identical, it is insane. Now I say that to say, I don't know why the league didn't suspend Dillon Brooks. Because first of all, let's look at the fact that he didn't just punch Steven Adams in the balls like Draymond kicked him. No, he punched LeBron James out of everyone. I really thought the league was going to cater towards LeBron, which to be fair, I would have agreed with them on this one. But what's even crazier to top all of that off is the response from Dillon Brooks. Now, I don't know if I clarified this earlier, but the guy who actually said that Dillon Brooks was not going to show up for the media was a guy named Tim McMahon. So keep that in mind. And what I'm about to say is from Tim McMahon himself. Dillon Brooks, speaking after practice today, said he thinks the perception of him influenced the flagrant 2 call in game 3. Quote, "The media making me a villain, the fans making me a villain, that just creates another persona on me." Okay, I just want you guys to keep in mind, this is the same guy who has said multiple times he's a villain. Like, this isn't just us making up this persona. He has said this himself. He's literally playing playing into the role. Also, I can't believe I have to clarify this, but you punched him in the fucking balls. Like, yeah, of course people are gonna think you're a villain even if they don't know if you've said this in the past. Like, what are we talking about? And look, if this was Dillon Brooks' first time doing this, I would completely understand. I'd be like, hey guys, it was just a mistake. Maybe he was mad. Let's give him some space. But no, there is literally a YouTube compilation out there of him doing dirty shit. Also, at this point, it's kind of just normal. And if we're talking about just balls, well, pause. But if we're talking about balls, you literally punched Donovan Mitchell in the balls. I mean, I didn't think I had to, but do people understand why we don't like this guy? I mean, even when I've hinted at the thought of making a video about Dillon Brooks, people have already said multiple times they don't like this guy. I mean, it's pretty obvious. A majority of people do not like this guy. It's not like, oh, this guy's really good, let's hate on him. It's, we hate this guy because he's a prick. And what's crazy is, as someone who hates the Lakers with a burning passion, I actually saw myself rooting for the Lakers to get their get back. And honestly, like the title's going to imply, everything that is going to happen in this series is because of Dillon Brooks. It is 100% his fault. Because this man decided to talk trash, there is a really good chance the Lakers play kind of like this for the rest of the series. And I mean, it's not like Dillon Brooks is going to do anything to stop it with him shooting probably 4 for 27. Like, if you're going to talk, that's cool and all, but like, at least do something. Don't just be a pedestrian. Oh wait, didn't you call Shannon Sharp a pedestrian? I mean, the difference is Shannon Sharp is a Hall of Famer NFL tight end and you are a actual pedestrian, or at least he plays like one. And I'm just going to be honest with what I'm about to say, and as my good friend NBA Nerd would say, the energy has shifted. I think the Lakers are going to win this series now, all because of this. LeBron James clearly has something to prove, because lately the conversation has been, are people afraid of LeBron? Which I don't even know why this got started or how this got started, but regardless, this has been a question. And the fact that Dillon Brooks is doing this openly and saying, I don't fear him, it's not like he's saying this just to the media or he's not going to say it to his face. He is saying it to his face and he's getting in front of him and saying it with his chest. Like, listen, I'm not LeBron James, but me personally, I'm not letting that slide. That's just me though. Especially because Memphis is the better team in my opinion. I believe Memphis should be up in this series, but the Lakers, they're not going down without a fight. And as Kendrick Perkins said best, you poked the bear, and this man Dillon Brooks has clearly done just that. Got the attention that he wanted. He decided to talk shit, and guess how it's going to end up? It is going to end up with the Grizzlies losing this series, which I'm not going to lie, I think this is going to start conversations about the Grizzlies as a whole. But of course, we're going to have to wait to see how this ends before we can really place judgment. If we're going to place judgment on someone, it has to be Dillon Brooks, right? I mean, all the stuff he's done, the shit he's done in his past, not just talking shit, but doing these clearly dirty plays and injuring people on purpose. Now, to a point, I do think Dillon Brooks is someone that the NBA could use, a villain, someone to rile up these players. But there becomes a whole other line when you start punching them in the balls and trying to injure them. Like, that's the line you cross, and I think that is too much. And if you guys want to see more of a deep dive into the career of Dillon Brooks and all the things he's done, well, I made a video about it. Go check it out.
Yes, fuck that bitch till the day I die. 220 on the dash, I got bloody red eyes. I got the pay coming in, finna give me eyes. Try to link, I ain't really got no time. Give a fuck about a hater, y'all can suck me dry.